In today's video, I'm going to cover 5 reasons your wife is acting like she's living her best life ever, that the divorce or the separation is not only not fazing her, but she's actually excited about it. You just got to be coachable. But first, right now, marriage is under attack on all 7 continents where I have clients. Please do me a favor. Help me support marriage restoration or long-term relationship restoration, especially when children are involved, by right now subscribing to this channel. And for you, press the little bell icon so that as I record new content, YouTube won't suppress that and you won't miss it. Do that right now for me. Please do that. If you're new to the channel, my name is Griffin, and I help men restore their marriages or their long-term relationships when their wife or their lover has no interest in restoring the marriage or the relationship. Number 1, why does your wife or your long-term relationship lover actually seem happy after she leaves you? Doesn't she see that you're on the sidelines, you're losing weight, you lost 20 pounds in maybe 20 days or more, you're depressed, maybe some of you even to the point that you're suicidal because your life has been turned completely upside down? Has she ever loved you? How can somebody that's ever actually cared for you seem happy and exiting the relationship and blindsiding you in this way? Maybe she's been emotionally checked out for a long time. How many of you, your wife has told you on the way out the door, hey, I've been trying to tell you for the last 6 months. I've been trying to tell you for the last 2 years. The ship has sailed. I've gave you 20 chances. I've tried telling you over and over and over. And you're like, she hasn't told me any of this. This is complete, all new to me. I'm being blindsided here. But in her mind, she has. In the ways that she believes that she tells you or tells a man that she's not been happy in the relationship for a long time now, she has done that in her own way. The problem is you haven't been able to see her or hear her. And now all you're doing is confirming the bias that she has against the relationship or you personally by telling her things like, well, let's work on it. Why haven't you told me? And she's responding in a way that she has. But in reality, because you don't know how to see her, you don't know how to hear her, especially and particularly when she has confirmation bias, she's been checked out for a while. And all you're doing is seeing that go to the next level because this helps her cope. This helps her emotionally enable herself to exit the relationship. She has told herself for some times now that I can't be happy unless I'm without him, without the relationship. And so she has pre-wired her brain and engineered it to the point that it's become a biological change that we could actually see. And this is always part of confirmation bias, where she's told herself her truth that when I leave the relationship, then and only then can I be happy. So of course, her brain is hardwired in her subconscious to say, being happy is your only option. It's not real happiness. It's temporary. It's fake. But for her, it's her reality of where she's at. We know based on numbers, based on data, based on research, that the majority of women, up to 74% of women that divorce their husband and remarry another man, 22 months into the new marriage, when surveyed, up to 74% in a study that was done about 8 or 9 years ago, those women said that they actually not only regretted getting a divorce from their ex, but they wish they were still married to them. This tells me that what you're seeing of her living her best life ever, that she's going out getting a new hairdo, maybe she's lost some weight, she's going to the gym, her clothes are a little bit snugger, maybe she has some new friends that are maybe not in the best interest for her. Maybe it's another miserable woman that's finding her happiness in your wife, and now your lover or your wife has latched onto this nightmare of a woman because misery loves misery, and they're both deceiving themselves that they're happy together. So based on those numbers that I just talked about, where way more women regret getting divorced and even getting remarried whenever this happens, it's not that she truly doesn't care about the relationship. It's not that she doesn't care about the marriage. It's not that she never loved you. This is simply a psychological coping mechanism that probably is even subconscious on how she's choosing to exit the relationship and feel good about it. It's just simply a coping mechanism. So when your wife is telling you that we'll never be back together, there's no hope for the marriage, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, that doesn't mean that your marriage or your relationship is over. Through knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, there are ways that you can do that. At some point during this video, I'm going to give you a link to another video that I've done that actually shows you the first 5 steps on the path to do that. So number 2, her coping mechanism is actually a wall. That's exactly what it is. And so if you've watched a lot of my videos, or if you're new to the channel, I talk a lot about when she has the wall up, it's always confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is the wall, or the way that I learned it in school was cognitive bias. So that's what I'm talking about when you hear me say the word confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is that wall that she has up. If you're just now recently experiencing separation, or you've done that maybe a few months or a few weeks back, first you get your sledgehammer out, you're a man, you want to fix it, you love her, you try busting through the wall gets thicker. You try climbing over the wall The wall becomes Mount Everest. It becomes taller. And all you're dealing with is confirmation or cognitive bias. But in this example, it's a coping mechanism for her, which is the reason she's acting this way. It's not that she's a cold-hearted BIT. It's not that she's a psychopath. It's not that she's actually a narcissist, even though right now she may be gaslighting you or she's exhibiting narcissistic tendencies. That doesn't mean that she is a psychopath or a narcissist. It just means that this is a coping mechanism and how she's enabling herself to confirm the decisions that she's made. This coping mechanism is masking the internal struggle that she's dealing with subconsciously, and you're seeing evidence of it in a way that it looks like she doesn't care. She doesn't care about the marriage. A lot of times it's looking like she doesn't even care about her own children, the children that you guys have together. Or if you're in a blended family, it'll look like one of your children that maybe she's raised for months or years. It looks like she doesn't care about that child. While that's not true, she's just dealing with a subconscious and sometimes conscious coping mechanism. The good news is that understanding what this is tells you there's a path to reverse it. She's changed her mind once. First, she fell in love with you. She chose to marry you. Now she's choosing to exit the relationship. I can tell you this, she will change her mind again if you understand through knowledge, understanding, and wisdom how to navigate a way to reverse all of this. I like to call it the train is heading for divorce. The train is heading towards separation forever. The train is heading for her being married to another man. We can actually successfully, through knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, put the brakes on that train, put it in reverse, and back it up back to not only restoration, but to rebuild this relationship in a way that it's better than it was before. The third reason that she's acting like this is because she has a lot of pressure on her, and it's the pressure of her forcing herself to be happy. It's the pressure of her subconscious telling her, hey, you've been telling yourself this story that in order for you to be happy, that you have to exit this relationship. Her subconscious is saying, we've got to make this story true, even if it's not. She might be miserable when the lights go out, but when social media is turned on, with the pictures on, when the enemies of the marriage are looking at her or with her, with the affair partner, the limerick affair partner, which by the way, I'm going to be doing a video in the next couple of weeks on a limerick affair partner and how to deal with that, with the confirmation bias that she has and the pressure that the affair partner, if that exists, is putting on her, the pressure that maybe her parents or any enemies of the marriage that's enabling her to exit this relationship, where she has also enrolled them into having bias against you or the relationship. This is causing her to be humiliated if she isn't happy. She's enrolled herself in the story that in order for me to be happy, I've got to exit this relationship. This is part of confirmation bias. She's enrolled herself in going to enroll other people, which make them think about you or the relationship to enable her and to support her decision to exit the relationship or the marriage. They need to see that, wow, her exiting this relationship, her exiting this marriage is actually bringing her happiness. And now she has that pressure of outside influence looking to see, are you really happy? Girl, is this making you happy? Girl, you do you, girl. Maybe even if she's having a down day, she's going to confirm with her friends, confirm with the enemies of the marriage, confirm with the people that are causing her to exit the relationship, confirming with her conscious, confirming with her subconscious, confirming to your children, confirming to her children. Anybody that's looking at the situation, she has the pressure to look happy. She's going to walk in that. She's not going to be humiliated by letting those people down, letting her conscious down, letting her subconscious down, or letting her confirmation bias down unless you know how to position her psychologically to bring that out and successfully ruin the story that she's telling herself about you and or the relationship. Right now, let me ask you this. Put in the comments, are you aligning your actions today with your feelings, and are they having the opposite effect? Is it backfiring on you? Would you like to learn how to align your actions with your goals, do stuff that's the opposite of what you're doing in a way that can turn that train around, in a way that can go back and restore that marriage? In just a moment, I'm going to give you the link to a masterclass that's free that I offer that's going to give you some steps to do that. If anybody's giving you any comments, or if your friends or family are saying, man, if you really just love this woman, let her go. That is such foolish advice. And here's the reason for that. Right now, your wife or your lover acting happy, like what I just talked about, that's all a mask. All that's going to end up doing is believing the lie that she's presenting with the happy phase. And what you're going to do is, guess what? There's a reason statistically, if you let this woman go and she enters a new relationship, go and Google what are the statistics that her next relationship's going to make it. because allowing her to go is going to do the same thing for you. You're both going to exit the relationship with unresolved baggage. That's not in her best interest. That is not in your best interest. That is not in your family's best interest if you have children. If you love her, let her go is foolish advice and quite frankly is stupid. If you can learn how to psychologically lead her back into the relationship, this helps her also. Together, you guys can resolve all of the emotional baggage, the trauma that you've experienced in the relationship or before the relationship. If you let this relationship go and you both enter a new relationship, you're going to carry that same shit show into your next relationship, which is the reason statistically it's going to fail. Don't listen to that bullshit. Which leads me to number 4. Her survival mask, the new face that she's put on of her telling herself, I am happy, I am happy, I am happy, is fake. It's a self-coping mechanism and it's not real. It's not her real self. This is her survival self. The survival self always presents itself as a defense mechanism in order to protect her. But listen to me, the loving person that's beneath that fake mask that she's putting on of she is happy, she is happy, she is happy, that person can be drawn back into the relationship with strong, empathetic, new, intimate, correct, masculine leadership, where you can position yourself so that the story she's telling herself about you or the relationship is not true. Right now, the reason that your relationship is ending, the train is heading down to the south of Antarctica, where all marriages die, where all relationships die, and she ends up with another man. You have the ability to turn that around with new leadership, but you've got to align your actions with your goals. I teach men how to do this. This is my business. This is my legacy. Learning how to have true empathetic leadership that she actually can see, recognize, and believe is real is something that can always restore a relationship. So let me ask you a question. What evidence are you seeing that she is happy, she is happy, she is happy, like I tell you to be in some videos? Are you seeing that she's got a new boyfriend? Are you seeing that she's kindled some new friendships or maybe even rekindled some old friendships that are very, very bad? And what I mean by that is maybe she's rekindled a friendship with a hoe, another woman that's had failed relationship, failed marriage, failed relationship histories that maybe is putting on a happy face on Instagram or Facebook or any social media platform. But you know deep down this person's miserable with their marriage, miserable with their relationships. They have past traumas and they don't know what to do. And now they've latched onto your wife. We call this person as an enemy of the marriage. Is your wife or your lover started hanging out with some of those type people? Has she got new hairdo? Is she showing a little bit more cleavage than before? And it looks like she's living her best life ever. If that's where you're at today, share your story. Share what your wife is doing right now that you feel like is hurting the marriage. Stick that in the comments right now. Give me some video ideas on how to help you overcome some of that. And I always look at the comments. I try to always respond to every comment that's on YouTube personally. And I do look at those comments for new content ideas as well. Share that in the comments right now if that's you. Which leads me to number 5. She's been telling herself through confirmation bias, and she's probably been telling some other people too, that the emotional turmoil that she's currently in or that she was in while she was in the relationship, while she was in the marriage, was your fault. And for some of you, you believe that. A lot of times whenever I do an application call for my program with a man, I will always hear about, well, Denver, I'm trying to change. I'm doing all these changes that she needs me to make. And guess what? All of that stuff is nice, but it can actually backfire on you because the emotional turmoil that she's currently in right now, it has nothing to do with you. It's not about you at all. The emotional turmoil that she was in within the relationship had nothing to do with you because this is how she's dealing with the internal battle within. At night, when the lights go out, she knows she's not happy. A lot of times she's probably crying herself to sleep, but the happy face is showing the emotional internal battle that she's dealing with and how she's masking that. This is not a reflection of your self-worth. This is not a reflection of the value that you are, but I can tell you this. If she has confirmation bias, 99% of men, here's what they do when they respond to that. You align your actions with your feelings, and by doing that, you actually show her that the value on you is actually lower. For some of you, right when the separation occurred or she told you she wasn't happy in the relationship anymore, your value might have been worth $1,000. But by you aligning your actions with your feelings, you have reduced that value down to being on the clearance aisle at Walmart. You're 90% off. And you're showing her that because you've pivoted and you started acting a little bit like a little bitch, you have reduced the value as a man. She sees that. You are lowering your self-worth by aligning your actions with your feelings. This is foolish. It's also very normal. This is the reason that divorce is actually normal. In the Divorce Stoppers program, I actually show you how to do that. But I give you a precursor to that. I have a free masterclass. I'm going to give you the link to do that as well to help you get started on the process of reversing some of these things that you're doing, which are quite frankly foolish. I know this for a fact because I did on myself when I was in your shoes. The reason that we want you to stop aligning your actions with your feelings is because if you want to have a snowball's chance in hell of restoring this relationship, you've got to quickly shift how she views the relationship. And this is what I mean in my videos when you hear me say, if it is to be, it's up to me. But for a lot of you, I know that, well, Denver, how do I do this? Well, sometimes I understand. You don't know what you don't know. If your wife or your lover has confirmation bias, the information that you're getting on YouTube is just that. It's information. Information will never bring a woman out of confirmation bias. That's going to require a transformation in how you think. The Bible actually refers to this as you've got to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. But guess what? It's not just enough to transform what you're thinking, to transform your mind. If you go off and you become the best version of yourself, she will actually resent you for that because you're leaving her behind. I teach a new level of leadership that not only transforms what you think, what you speak, but also transforms what she's thinking. Because here's the thing. If she has confirmation bias, if you don't help her transform out of that, relationship's over, game over, divorce. Guys, if you feel like this is where you're at and you see the mask that she has on, but you'd like to change that, you would like to see the real authentic person that your wife or your lover really truly is. You would like to actually bring her back into the relationship, attract her into the relationship because now she has the false belief that she's a flower and she can't blossom within your garden. So she has chose to go to another acreage, like the grass is greener on the other side. So she has jumped your fence and now she's in somebody else's garden. And for her, she might believe that's her own garden, but it's almost always not her own garden. She has enrolled some enemies of the marriage, some enemies of the relationship that are bad for her. This is almost always, it's what I call the enemy of the marriage. There's always one. Sometimes there's a backup. But right now she thinks in that garden with that enemy, she can blossom. A lot of this is because you've always showed up in the marriage or the relationship believing the lie that you were responsible for your lover. You were responsible for your wife. You were responsible for your wife and your children, which is not true. Whenever a man shows up feeling responsible for his wife or his lover or his children, he's always going to be controlling. He's going to put pressure on them and push them away. Well, Denver, this is ludicrous. I believe I'm responsible for my wife and children. No, you're not. When you're responsible for someone, you don't give them permission to fail. You don't give them permission to fall, and you don't give them permission to F up. Put this in the comments. How many of you today, while you're trying to communicate with your lover, you're trying to communicate with your wife, and she's responding in a very immature way? Look back on the relationship the whole time you guys have been together. Anytime you guys got in an argument or a fight, she acted like a 3-year-old. If that's you, put that in the comments. And guess what? You've contributed to that because you have been responsible for her instead of showing up in your responsibilities to her. A woman in your garden will never bloom if you don't give her permission to mature emotionally. So what I mean by that is when she was in your garden, you didn't let her make mistakes. You didn't let her fail. You didn't let her fall. You didn't let her F up. That kept the flower from blossoming. Now she's telling you, I've just got to go find myself. And in order to do that, I've got to go to another garden. If you want to attract her back to your garden, I can help you do that in my free masterclass. I teach this masterclass on a weekly basis. It's a live masterclass, and there's no charge to do the masterclass. I want you to go to denvergriffin.com if this is something that you need help with. Register for the free masterclass. There's limited spots available, so don't delay. Go to the free masterclass and do that. On the other side of that, if you want to know what are 5 things that you can do right now to turn that train that's heading to divorce land, that's heading toward relationship over, game over forever, there's 5 things that you want to do to turn that around. I'm about to give you the link for that video right now. But before I do that, please do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel. Please, please, please train the algorithm that this content is radically different than anybody else that's out there. everybody else that's out there teaching marriage restoration is doing it in a way that, yeah, it's going to make you feel really, really good about yourself, but it's not going to restore the relationship or the marriage fast enough before it's over. If you're in a long-term relationship or a long-term marriage, if you have children, if you have grandchildren, or you have a mortgage together, or you have assets together, divorce attorneys are foaming at the bit. They're starting fights. If you have any of those things that I experienced when I was going through this and realized that there's a need for speed, then I want you to go to that masterclass and watch the video that I'm about to put in the link here at the end of this video. The next video that's coming up is 5 things that you can do right now to turn this around before you reach Antarctica, where it's over forever.